Because you're going to handle comments?
Yeah.
Okay.
I won't be able to show
You
up.
are live.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
You
gosh.
are live.
Does it show up?
Welcome to the show.
Here we
All
are.
right.
Here we are.
Should we start?
I don't know. I'm not even I don't even see it up yet.
Oh, well, let's wait till you see it.
Boom. Whistle kick. Martial arts. There it is. I'm hitting play.
All right, so I'll see when
Martial
you connect.
arts. Oh, I can turn the volume down. There we go. Okay. We have one viewer, which is me.
I don't even see that over here yet.
No, it's there. See?
Oh, now it's 2. All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome. This is another episode of Whistlekick Martial Arts Radio, which we are recording live. Put out to the world. This is a Q&A episode.
It is.
Number 17. We've done a
Oh,
bunch of
boy.
these. And on today's show, we've got a bunch of questions that I don't know.
I do. They're right here.
You do.
You can't see. Sorry.
And that's the fun of it. And the other fun is the fact that we just kind of let this one be goofy. And we have a good time with it. And it's always the last episode we record when we get together to record.
Yeah.
So we're both like,
A little punchy.
woo.
Hey, and shout out to CJ Mayo. He's
What's
watching
going
right
on,
now.
CJ? I get to see CJ
Oh,
soon.
Mark's up. Mark Warner's here too.
Hello,
Nice.
Mark.
If you guys have questions you want me to ask, you can type it because Jeremy can't see
I
it right
can't
now.
see it. I can't see it.
But I can see it
But
right
he
here.
can see it. So, yeah, we don't need to do a hard intro on this.
Yeah,
It's
whatever.
fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. All right.
All right.
Where are we going first?
We have our first question.
Oh, that might be really
That's a
loud because it's
microphone
on the
right there.
microphone.
Yeah. Okay. First question from Chris Rickard.
What's up, Chris?
Chris,
Chris always makes sure we have questions.
he does. I'm not going to
He's
lie.
a good man.
He totally does. All right. So Chris's the first question, sorry, from Chris Rickard. How do you determine if an injury requires time off rather than just modifications to your training?
Injuries almost never require time off. All right. So here's my philosophy on injuries. Okay. I believe in evolution. Now, I understand not everyone does. That's fine. Okay. This argument that I'm going to make doesn't land quite as well if you are a creationist, intelligent design believer. Okay. Assuming you believe in evolution, the things that allow mammals to heal broadly are the things that should also allow us to heal most efficiently, because nature, biology rewards efficiency. When an animal gets injured, they never put a cast on it.
Mm-hmm.
They use it, they use it where they can, right? Watch a dog that hurts its paw, right? It limps, but it still makes contact with the ground. It's constantly testing it out. It doesn't go sit in a corner and just rest there for 3 weeks.
Yep.
If you listen to the episode that we did on why icing is bad with Gary Reinl, he unpacks all of it. You can go back, you can check out that episode. Philosophically, immobilization and ice have never made sense to me, even when I was a little kid. Thus, stopping versus modification is almost never a good idea in my mind. Chris is asking me this question. I'm providing this answer. Here's the thing that people don't generally talk about. Are there times where if you are not properly accommodating an injury, you can make the injury worse? Absolutely. And it is from that approach that modern medicine likes to immobilize. Let's put a cast on this so you can't hurt it worse.
Yep.
Again, referring back to Gary's episode. An immobilized part of the body, as waste product develops through the healing process, doesn't get to get moved out. It slows down healing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's true. Okay? What happens to an animal in the wild if it sprains its whatever and sits until it heals? It dies. It either doesn't get food or it gets eaten. Or both. Right? So it has to be existing in the most efficient way for healing. which is to continue to go about life and make modification, not just despite the injury, but in an effort to heal the injury. Done.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I would say that you say there is very little reason to not modify, but there has to be a threshold.
Or I said to not. There's very little that you would not stop.
Yeah. What would cause you to have that stop?
We recorded an episode earlier where we were talking about severe injuries.
It'll come out in a few weeks.
Yeah.
After this one does.
You're in a car accident
Mhm.
and you can't stand.
Yeah.
But from the perspective we talked about, there was still modification to that.
Wait for that episode. It comes out soon.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent. Good job. That's a good answer. I like that.
Thank you.
We've got a few people in the chat
Hi, people in the chat.
have asked another question, which I'll get to in a moment. But some people, not necessarily watching now, but listening later, might be trying to wonder, you know what? I really like what these guys are doing. How can we help them out?
Send me all of your money.
Well, there you go.
Donate a lot of money, and that entitles you to know my address. And then you can send me the rest of your money.
There you go.
More serious answers. There are a lot of things that you can do to help. Is this the point where I read reviews? What am I doing?
No,
with this
Patreon.
one? Patreon. Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you. Our Patreon continues to grow, which is super cool. Very rarely does someone stop contributing to the Patreon. And we are always looking at ways to create more value within the Patreon, which I think is why people remain contributing. As little as $2 a month, as much as $100 a month, the more you contribute, the more you get. There's exclusive episodes, video. I put up a bunch of stuff, and we are in the very, very early stages talking about a Patreon exclusive show.
You get access to a whole new show.
Not only do you get to consume the show, but depending on the tier, you get to contribute to the show
And be a part of it in some way.
be a part of it.
Yeah.
Yep. I am always looking for, how do we do something a little bit different? How do we do a thing that hasn't been done? I'm not aware of this being done. I want to make a show for and by all the Patreon people.
Interesting. Yeah, love it.
Okay. This is the first time we've talked about it that bluntly and this publicly.
Yeah.
But it is going to happen.
So you 6 people listen. What? Oh, sorry. Only 5, because one of them is this right here.
One of them's you.
One of them is me. You heard it first here. One of which Brian Doucette just showed up in the
Hey, Brian.
chat. So
What's going
nice
on?
to you.
Brian, host and creator of Everyday Martial Artists.
Yep,
a great
absolutely.
show. If you like our show.
And
You should also check out
a
his show.
new person just commented from India. Said, good job.
Thanks.
Sudarshan from India. I'm assuming that's like.
I recognize that name. That's someone who's been around. A
Yeah.
little bit.
So thanks for joining us. Join the Patreon. It'll help out. Help us
I
continue
got to
the
talk.
show.
Craig and I are going to spearhead that. We got to talk about that.
Awesome. Mark Warner also said that was a great answer on injury.
Thanks, Mark.
And our next question comes from Mark.
Oof.
He just posted in the chat, and
Okay.
this is a question for both of us.
Okay.
And he didn't say whether we're supposed to answer for each or if we have our own individual answer. But his question is, what is the most pleasant memory of martial arts you both have? So I don't know if that means we together have the same.
Let's answer it
Pleasant memory?
independently, because
Independently.
you and I don't have a ton of training time together.
Yeah.
If you think of yours first, by all means, jump in. Most pleasant martial arts memory. My most pleasant martial arts. Actually, you know what? It's free training day. It's the
Yeah.
collection of free training days. And at first I was like, okay, but which one? And my first thought was, I was thinking of you. And I think the second time I met you, when you showed up to the one in Woodstock,
Yep, 2019.
we had talked a bit.
Mhm.
You know, I'd met you before.
I think I had been on the show at that point.
Yeah, but I didn't really know you. And you were there like earlier, like, how can I help?
Mhm.
Right. And so I'm incorporating you as an example of what happens at Free Training Day, and the really cool thing that we have collectively created that is unlike anything else I've ever experienced, because it's just a big collaborative effort. It defies words. You've experienced it
Yep.
in a way that you understand it defies words. And anybody out there who's participated in it understands I have a hard time explaining this. It's just awesome.
Yeah, I would agree. It is incredibly difficult to describe. It's something you have to experience. And I'm incredibly happy that more people will get to experience that this year, since we have Free Training Day New England, which will be in Keene, New Hampshire in November
12th.
Yep. And then we also this year, for the first time, are having Free Training Day Portland, Oregon, and Atlanta, Georgia. So more people will get to experience what this is, which is really good.
If you want to read more, we've got a page at the website at whistlekick.com. But let me just tie up that, and I'll hand the ball to you.
Yeah.
The reason that is so powerful to me is that I am hyper aware during that day that it is the people I have known, trained with, learned from, that led to that event. Even the people who aren't there contributed to that. I think back to instructors that I had and the breadth of instructors I had. It is because I am who I am and I approach martial arts the way I do, that Free Training Day happens. And I spearhead it. We now spearhead the one up here, but I am so grateful and overwhelmed with gratitude during that day, because all these people are like, yeah, I'm going to go do this thing. I don't get paid for it. I'm just going to show up. It's cool.
Yep. It's a very powerful day.
That is mine.
Yeah. So it's interesting that both of ours have nothing to do with testing or martial arts or a specific class or anything. It's an event. And for me, it's all in weekend.
Really?
Without a doubt. Yeah. Little peek behind the curtain there. I've been training martial arts for, almost, I think, 30 years at this point, off and on. Lots of different instructors, but I've never owned my own school. I've never had direct students, with one kind of exception within martial arts. I have done some instructing in the martial arts schools that I've been a part of, but never really in charge. I have a lot of teaching experience, but just not within martial arts. And all in weekend, I was really nervous about going in and being an instructor and having people essentially paying me money to show them martial arts. And many of the people there, if you look at their training on paper and you look at my training on paper, they know more than I do. And at the end of that weekend, I walked away saying, you know what? This was good. This was good for me, because I learned just as much as one of the instructors as the people there.
That was a transitional weekend for you.
Yeah,
I watched it,
and so that was Mark posed this question as pleasant. Like, that was incredibly pleasant for me. That was a very pleasant memory, and I'm proud that Mark was a part of that.
Just because you don't have to know everything somebody else knows in order to teach them something new.
Yep.
And we need to get rid of that idea in the martial arts.
Absolutely. And I will even go so far as to say, and I'm glad Mark's in the chat, Mark, you're one of the people that I was worried about. Not worried about, that sounds really bad. But you have so much experience in the martial arts that I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be teaching this guy. Like,
how do you teach someone who knows so much?
Yeah. And credit to Mark and everyone that was in attendance. They made it easy because everyone came willing to learn and wanting to learn and being eager to learn. And it made it a lot easier for me as an instructor. And so thanks, Mark.
People watching, we are more than half sold for next April's event.
Yeah. So before we move on really quick, Mark said very powerful answers. And thanks, he said, I worry about me too. So, there we go.
Oh, Mark.
So I do have another question coming in, but
Yeah.
we should
next?
Let's give let's read a review.
Okay.
And give away free stuff, because who
All right.
doesn't like free stuff?
So here's the deal. There are 3 really important spots for you to leave reviews. There's a 4th for ratings. If you can leave a rating for Spotify, you've got to do it from a phone or a tablet. You need to do it from the Spotify app. That helps us. We actually saw what we think is a surge in viewership that came in when we prioritized Spotify and said, everybody please leave ratings. So that's number 1. You can't leave a review, so we don't know who leaves them. But reviews on Apple Podcasts, in Google, and on our Facebook page, Whistlekick Martial Arts. If you leave reviews in any of those places, it helps the company overall. Okay. So today I've got a Google review from John Arujo, and I will read this. And John, if you reach out, if you heard this, we send you a gift certificate. Folks out there, I'll send. Trust me, your odds of earning a gift certificate, leaving a review, very good.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Okay, where is it? It is right here. Whistlekick, from podcast, live daily shows, merchandise, and martial arts gear. Awesomeness. Check out Whistlekick. You will not be disappointed. Thank you, John.
Awesome. So, free gift certificate.
Yeah,
That's
John,
pretty
just email
amazing.
me. I know you
That's
got my
pretty
email.
amazing. Yep. All right. So this next question, actually, again, coming in live from the chat from Brian. What do you think is one of the most misunderstood things about martial arts to the general public? Those that are only listening, that are not watching.
I made him stop. I've never been able to create that reaction with you before,
That was
and
good.
I'm so excited that I made it happen.
I'm actually not going to say what happened. You
Okay.
got to watch it to find out. That was.
So what's the question?
Hang on, I'm going to go like this, so I'm not looking at you. What? But of course, I see you on my screen. Oh man,
You can't. I
can't get away. The question again from Brian Doucette. What do you think is one of the most misunderstood things about martial arts to the general public?
The amount of violence.
That would be my answer.
I think the amount of violence, and sadly, this is, it shows up in every element of martial arts culture, right? What martial arts competitions is the average person aware of? MMA, right? You and I, and a lot of our listeners, will draw a fine line between those because, yeah, it's martial arts, but it's not what most of us engage in. Okay, it's not what we would call traditional martial arts. It is a very distinctive sport in the same way that soccer is a sport and there's a skill set. There's kicking in soccer.
Mhm.
There's kicking in football. Those are not martial arts. Okay, I'm not saying MMA isn't a martial art.
In your
It is.
opinion.
Right. Someone may think that soccer is a martial art, and that's fine. Okay. When you think of martial arts movies, the ones that have done the best
Of the best.
recently are incredibly violent. John Wick. I'm intentionally ignoring that. John Wick, the Raid series
Mhm.
are really violent films. Those are celebrated in our world as being really good modern martial arts films. And that leaves the average person to fill in the gaps themselves as to what martial arts is, and thus they form the opinion that it is violent, when the irony is, I think, if anything, the average martial artist is less violent, than the
I would agree.
average non-martial artist, because we have a better understanding of what violence is. We train against violence. We train to suppress violence. And those things combined, yeah. If you really want to understand a perspective on violence, death, killing, war, talk to a soldier.
Hmm.
The soldiers that I've really had strong conversations with, a lot of them are pacifists. They're like, I came out of that. I never wanted to be involved in that or subject someone else to it ever again. And I think it's similar in the martial arts world.
Yep. Yeah, I would agree. And we've had discussions. We've done Thursday episodes about the correlation that the general public makes from UFC style MMA
Yeah.
and traditional martial arts. So I get that. Brian also commented, you were talking about soccer, kicking, whatever. There was a movie, Shaolin Soccer.
Okay. So there you go.
Yep. Yeah. I agree. I think that's good. I have
Bad taste in movies.
No. Mark Warner and I both have great taste in movies. And actually, Brian's in the chat too. All three of us love Best of the Best. Such a good movie. Anyway, I have a test coming up in January, and I really need to get a little better cardio and a little better flexibility. And I have started to look at and am going to be working through some of our programs that Whistlekick has.
Yeah.
And I can't stress enough how amazing that I'm looking forward to it, because I've read through it and I see where it's going to go. Can you talk a little bit about those programs?
Sure. So the flexibility program is the one that's free, and we did that because flexibility is kind of the thing that is most broadly ascribed to martial artists. Not that other disciplines aren't seen as having flexibility, but if you were to think of a quality of a really good martial artist, a lot of people would think flexibility. So that program, like all of our programs, deeply rooted in science, and not old science, new science. I put in a significant amount of time digging into the research and making sure that my understanding was correct and still correct, and building a program that leveraged that based on not just the science, but what has worked for me, what I've seen work for others, and being realistic. Asking someone, hey, do this 3-hour-a-day flexibility program is unrealistic.
Yeah.
If I said, hey, stretch 3 hours once and you'll be flexible forever, people will be like, all right, I'll make the time for that. But that's not the way life works. Life is busy, and all of our programs are built around the realization that life is busy and frequency matters. So the flexibility program is based around that. And again, it's free, whistlekick.com. Like,
Completely free.
if you get it and you do it and you don't see results, I want to talk to you, because I want to know what's different about your body versus everyone else. The only people I'm aware of that do not get results from are the people that don't follow it, because it takes an investment of time. Not a lot of time, but some time.
Yeah.
I can't get you more flexible with 0 time. The other program, the conditioning program, which we call Fuel, is rooted in the premise that getting out and training at moderate intensity for activity that is high intensity does not have a direct correlation. To go out and run 8 miles so you can step in and do 20, 30-second, 2-minute rounds, it doesn't add up. And I spent a bunch of time doing the research on this, confirming for myself. I watched a bunch of boxing matches and fights, everything from HEMA to whatever. And here's the thing. You're going to see what I call surges of 10 to 15, at most 20 seconds, and then people back off. Yeah. Why? Because the way our cardiovascular system is built, the way glycogen operates. And the entire training program, because it's for martial artists, is built around that idea. Go watch some UFC and any MMA, and you will see condensed high-intensity flurry followed by break, and then people chill out, replenish a little bit of glycogen, catch their breath, and then they go again. And the training program is built on that, and not, okay, this week you're going to run this many miles, and next week you're going to run an extra half mile, and building you up that way. Is there a place for that? Absolutely. Is it the fastest, most resistant to injury training protocol that you can have as a martial artist? No. So I built that because it didn't exist.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm looking, like I said, I've got 6 months or so to work through the program, so I'm really excited about getting going.
I got a comment from someone, I think I mentioned this on First Cup, I mentioned it somewhere recently, that I got a comment from someone who used the Fuel program for their black belt test. And she said, I had more in the tank when we were done.
I think you mentioned it this morning.
Did I?
Yeah.
And it works. They all work. they all have like the endorsement of medical professionals because I
Mhm.
don't just do things in a vacuum. I'm like, hey, did I get this right? And they're like, oh yeah, you know this? You're not supposed to know this. Like,
Yeah,
how did you know this?
Awesome.
Available at whistlekick.com.
Yeah. A comment on your last answer. Jeff Curry said, truth, as a soldier, I can relate and agree about soldiers coming back, wanting to be pacifist. Totally get it.
Yeah.
Shout out to Liz. She just showed up in the chat.
Liz.
Our last question actually is going to come from Jeff Curry.
Oh, nice.
And this might be kind of a fun one, and it might be a really short one. His question is, how's the martial arts seminar tour going? Any stories from the road?
It's going well. I knew going into it this year. Well, a little bit of background. So last year was ending. I was finding a few things. One, Whistlekick grows when we get to share our philosophy with others, meaning getting them to events or me getting to them.
Mhm.
We do a bunch of events. We're constantly adding events. We're growing in that way. But what did the other end look like? How do I get in front of people? Oh, I can teach. What do I teach? Well, there's that training protocol around moving slowly and everything that I teach that people kind of dig. And so 8 months ago, said, let's make 2022, let's make this a goal that I teach some seminars. And started doing some seminars, and they started going really well. And we're just, as an aside, we're still adding dates to that. So if you and your school want to have me in, this is not something we're trying to make money on. I'm just trying not to lose too much money on it. Ultimately, I would like to get in front of people and, make a little bit of money.
Pay for your time.
Pay for my time.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm happy to pay for the gas and the hotel and some of the meals and whatever. But as I get better, we're like everything else we do, slowly incrementing and finding ways to improve, including raising the price a little bit as I get better. So if you want to have me in, don't wait, because it'll be more expensive than if you don't wait. But in terms of stories, there's let me think for a moment.
While you think.
Yeah, please.
Hi, Elkie. She just showed up.
Oh, hi, Elkie.
Okay, just showed up.
I know the kind of stories you're looking for. Then Jeff, those don't exist. There aren't stories of big, fancy, dramatic things. But go ahead.
What the one I'm thinking, and it wasn't really the tour, but at All In Weekend, maybe there's something funny that happened there.
There were a bunch of things. I don't want to share All In Weekend stuff because that kind of operated in a bubble, and I like that.
Being in a bubble.
Yeah, bubbles are fun. But what happens inevitably when I teach what I'm teaching for a seminar is you get somebody, there's always at least one person who struggles to slow down. And when I have that person gets a lot of attention because the things that we're doing, there are milestones, and we can't move on to the next milestone until I can get everybody to where they need to be. At least there's a minimal standard, else it creates the risk for injury, or at best, everyone's not going to get the benefit. So there are times where I get people who I can tell they're mad. They're so annoyed. They're like, Jeremy, leave me alone. I don't want to do this. I don't agree with your philosophy. Stop harassing me. I can see it in their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been seminars where one person over, like, say, a 20-minute span is getting 40% of my attention. And I know it's driving them nuts. But they don't know what it looks like in hindsight. I do.
Yeah.
So I know what I need to do to get them where they need to go. And in every case, I get them to have that breakthrough. And we move on. And I slide up to them and I'm like, you get it now? And they're like, yeah. Reluctantly, but they see it and they understand. And that moment where someone who had a hard time is able to see why I push them so hard And a lot of you out there are instructors, and you know what I'm talking about. When someone who struggled with a concept or a technique is finally able to get it, and in part due to your insistence on pushing them, that's a powerful feeling.
Yeah.
And that has happened every time I've taught. And I love it. So that of stories, Jeff, that's the best one I can give you.
Awesome. Excellent.
Thanks.
That's I think that's a good episode today.
I agree. This is the 4th episode we've recorded today.
Yeah, and I'm recording number 5 later on.
You are recording number 5.
Yeah.
There will be something we're not going to tell them what, but there will be something incredibly special about the episode you're recording later.
Yeah. For those listening when this episode comes out, it was last week's episode.
I'm glad you can keep all this straight.
For those watching live, it's coming out in 2 weeks.
How about the people watching live that are participating in the episode? I'll see you tonight.
Yeah, I'll see you tonight. Are there any? Okay.
Are there?
No.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I would have guessed at least one of them.
Nope. I mean, they haven't said anything anyway. Before we do our outro, Jeff says, "Well, between my school and our surrounding community in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, I would love to get a seminar going here."
Jeff, email me, Jeremy@whistlekick.com. Let's see if we can make it work.
Yep.
As long as it's not the south side of Chicago.
Okay.
North side of Chicago, I understand, is okay.
I don't know. No clue. All right. So there we go.
Thank you. Yeah, and anybody who wants to talk about a seminar, just because you email me doesn't mean like you have to go forward with it. Like there are a lot of questions. There's a lot of logistics.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't pretend that it's going to work for everybody in every school. But I will say value exchange, because we know that's critical to me. There is no better value exchange in bringing someone in than bringing me in.
It'll be worth it, is what you're saying.
It's going to be worth it. And if we do it right, the school makes a little bit of money.
He said, sounds good.
Everybody wins.
Thanks.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks for tuning in. To those of you who tuned in live, thank you. To those of you who might be watching or listening saying, I want to tune in live. I didn't know it was happening. That's because we don't tell you in advance. Because we have enough things to coordinate with these episodes that, sorry, we're not going to hold to a fixed date and time. We do enough things that are live. First Cup is live every morning at 6:30. You could join us for that. We have other things that are brewing that will be live. But this is kind of a catch as catch can. So if you're following us on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, you'll get a notification that we are around. And you can come on and you can watch for whatever you can. And it also happens midday. Not everybody can tune in midday.
And I typically post in the Facebook group. If you're not in the Whistle Kick behind the scenes group, you wouldn't know.
That's right.
So if you're not a member of that group, join that group, Whistle Kick behind the scenes. And this morning I posted and said later on today, I don't know what time because we recorded a bunch of other episodes.
It's usually like 11 to 12.
Yeah,
in that
about 11:30-ish.
11 to noon Eastern U.S., somewhere in that ballpark.
Yep.
So if you want to email, if you have a question for the next Q&A, email Andrew, not me, Andrew at whistlekickmartialartsradio.com. Our social media is at whistlekick, Jeremy at whistlekick.com. If you want to have me in the school, email me. If you want to check out one of the training programs, they're at whistlekick.com. Flex is free, but you can get 15% off Fuel, Force, or Fast by using the code podcast15 or anything else in the store over there. If you are part of this family and you're not checking out the whistlekick.com/family page on a weekly basis, you are missing out on some fun stuff, a little bit of context, kind of like a mini Patreon. We do have the full-blown Patreon, starts at $2 a month, patreon.com/whistlekick. Until next time, train hard, smile, and have a great day.
Oh, I gotta go. We gotta go close it now. Bye, everybody.